Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. We are 19 days away from election day. We're very close. We are less than 3 weeks away. So this is the final stretch. And as you can see in the betting odds on Polymarket, Donald Trump has been surging in his odds to win the election in the federal level, in the popular vote level, and in the state level. Before we get into this video and before we get into the Polymarket odds for President of the United States, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like my video, put all your comments, suggestions, and questions in the section below, and please check out my other content once you're done watching this video. Stay tuned for a new updated 2024 presidential election prediction coming soon. It will probably be my second to last. My final prediction will be coming the day before election day, so Monday, November 4th. That'll be my final prediction. Please, everyone, stay tuned for that. That will be a very important video. And looking at this right now, Donald Trump has a 62% chance to win the election according to Polymarket, and Harris has dropped all the way down to 38% and still dropping. And on these state margins now, we can see Donald Trump is leading in pretty much every single swing state by pretty comfortable margins. And before I get into this, let's just compare to the polls. And a big reason why Polymarket odds have been shifting is because the polls have been shifting in Trump's favor. As we can see here, according to Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Politics is not a polling firm itself. They just put all the polls and average them out. So as we can see here right now on the popular vote, we have Harris at 49 and Trump's almost at 48. So she leads by 1.5%. Back in this time, Biden was up by 9 and Clinton was up by 7. And it has been a steady lead of Harris up by around 1 to 2. Now it's kind of tightened a little bit, and I expect this to stay around this margin. We do have some polls that are still okay for her. We had a Marist poll that came out yesterday that, for some reason, Marist sampled D+7 sample. They sampled 7 Democrat plus 7. And we all know that the environment's not going to be D+7. I still do not know why they did that, and that's why Harris is up by 5. The environment's probably going to be our favored. Gallup is doing a weekly survey on the environment, and Gallup is the most accurate survey when it comes to the environment. And they actually have it right now at R+1. And I will go over that in another video if you guys want me to. And into the battleground states, Donald Trump is up in every single one of them except Wisconsin, where she leads by 0.3. He has pulled away in terms of the polls in the battleground states. And this kind of tells us a lot because in 2016 and 2020, Trump never had a single day where he was performing well, where he was performing ahead in these RCP averages for the battlegrounds. And this is not just RCP. This is every single polling average site. Every aggregate site never had Trump up in 2016 or in 2020. So this is something interesting to look at. And going back to Polymarket, a big reason why Trump has really taken the lead is because of this. Also because of early voting, people are seeing that. People are betting their money on this. Don't just think people are putting their money this because, it's just for kicks. This is usually tending to be more accurate. Betting odds usually are more accurate than polls because it's millions of people putting their own money in here. So they obviously need to know what's going on before they bet on a winner. And if we click this, we can see the change that has really happened in the past month. Look at the volume over here. We have $2 billion of volume going into this. And if we really zoom in to the past month, we're going to see something really interesting where Donald Trump has taken a massive lead. Harris was leading narrowly going into September, late September, early October. And since the month of October came, Donald Trump took a lead. He took a huge bounce. And for me, I thought, this is going to be his peak. The markets were going to correct. And in this week, he has exploded once again, and he has the largest lead he's ever had at around 62%, and Harris is fallen below 39%. So that is a huge warning sign for her that she is only at those margins. But the election is not decided mainly on that. It's also decided on each individual state, and the individual states will really matter on who will reach 270 first. So in today's video, we're going to be filling out this map based on these odds. And I want to get straight into this by going into these safe states. Now, I characterize these safe states, which is the darkest share on this map, based on the probabilities according to Polymarket Just remember that this video is not based on margins, so you might see a state like Texas being safe for Trump. It's not like I believe it's safe in terms of margins, it's safe in terms of the chances of going for him. So every state that is 90% or higher favoring one candidate would be safe for Harris. First, we have the West Coast, where all these states are a 96% chance or above going to her. So all of them will be placed in the safe column for Harris. Colorado and New Mexico are also going to be safe states. They do have a over 90% chance of going to her. The state of Minnesota and Illinois are also going to be safe states. Minnesota is almost below that, but it has barely above that margin. We have all of these states up in the East Coast all going to her by safe margins, and that does include Maine's 1st congressional district. It does not include Maine at large. So all of these will be going into that safe margin for her. And putting all the safe states on the map, she will start with 206 electoral votes. And going into Donald Trump's safe states now, he will have Alaska, all of these states up in the plains, the Great Plains, all of Nebraska except the 2nd district, Iowa, Ohio, all of the deep south, Texas, and Florida will all be included in this. And this is pretty interesting to see that the states of Texas and Florida, unlike the previous cycle where we're very used to them seeing them in that lean column or likely column, in the betting odds this time around, they are safe states for Donald Trump. He has a 90% chance or over to win every single one of these states on this map. And now that we filled out all the safe states for either candidate, Donald Trump is at 218 electoral votes. Kamala Harris is at 206 electoral votes. Let's go into the likely categorization now. And this is the odds of 65% chance or higher of going for either candidate. So starting with Harris, the first state that'll be in that likely category will be Virginia. She has an 85% chance of winning the state of Virginia. These odds have gone down a little bit due to the early numbers being very good for Trump. However, they have not gone down to similar margins to when Biden was at his low point, and I do expect her to be able to win. I do think this state's going to be a lot closer, and that's why these odds are a lot more favorable to Trump than I would expect. The next 2 states that are going to be in the likely category for her are the states of Maine, 88% chance, and New Hampshire. Both these states are looking pretty good for her on the polling level. Not much early data to really help us analyze this, but the polling data does look good for her. Also, another district that looks good for her is Nebraska 2nd. She has an 89% chance to win, so that will be putting that in the likely column for her, and that puts her up to 226. That's usually what we consider her floor. Donald Trump's likely states will start with Maine's 2nd district. He won Maine 2nd in 2016 and in 2020, and there's no reason why he would not be able to win this district. He has an 89% chance to win. And this is not all for Trump's likely states. Remember, 65% chance or over. The state of Arizona, Donald Trump almost has a 70% chance to win, according to Polymarket. And that is mainly because of how bad Democrats, specifically Harris, are doing in the polling numbers, as well as we finally have some early numbers out from the state of Arizona. And the early numbers out of Arizona so far entail that Republicans are leading more than we even expected. They lead the early numbers right now. And usually this is a metric that's supposed to favor Democrats, and they are performing really well in Maricopa County. They're getting all their voters out in the rural areas, so that's some good signs for Donald Trump. So he has around a 70% chance to win, which would put that in the likely column. But we're not done. We still have the state of Georgia, which also has a 65% chance of going for Donald Trump. It is not as high as when Joe Biden was at his worst moments in the end of July. However, he is rising closer and closer to those margins, and right now he has a 65% chance to win the state of Georgia. We have Harris only at 36%, and this is another state where early voting has also recently just started. They have extremely high turnout, and people take this in different ways when people come out and say that the turnout is extremely high. And digging into the data, the turnout is the highest among rural areas, specifically in the northern parts of Georgia. That's where turnout is the highest. And obviously, I will make a video going over the state of Georgia and those turnout numbers. But on this map, once again, we have it in the likely column for Donald Trump, not lean in the likely column. So that is very surprising. And that's going to be all the states in the likely column. We're going to go now to the lean states for each candidate. And Harris doesn't have any. As you can see from this map, she does not have any. The rest of the states, Donald Trump actually leads in. And going now to the first lean states, these are states 55 to 65% chance of going for either candidate. North Carolina is the first one where he does have a 64% chance to win, which is just short of what he needs to be in the likely column. This is one of the states where the polling had gone a lot closer. Democrats have a lot of enthusiasm going into the race. But now, after some weeks of polling, early numbers coming out, we can see here that Donald Trump has pulled away. And don't let this blue and red flip distract you too much. Republicans are blue, Democrats are red in this one. I'm not too sure why they did that, but hopefully they do end up correcting that. But yeah, Donald Trump does have a 64% chance to win, which would put the state in the lean column. Very surprising that bettors are more confident in Trump winning Georgia and Arizona than North Carolina. But I do expect right now Donald Trump to be able to win all three of them. And then going now to the Rust Belt states, and this is the biggest change from my previous video that I had made a little while ago on the Polymarket odds. Almost all of them were leaning towards Harris, and now they all lean towards Trump. Going now to the state of Pennsylvania, that's going to be the first one, the one that has been back and forth ever since Kamala Harris has entered the race. And now Donald Trump, ever since October, has broken away, and he does have a 60% chance to win this state, which would put it in the lean column. Once again, another state that we have early numbers coming out of, that we have polls coming out of, and you can see from all the battleground states, Trump does lead in the state of Pennsylvania by 0.5, North Carolina by 1.2, Georgia by 0.9, Arizona by 1.1, Nevada by 0.5, Michigan by 1, and then Wisconsin is Harris plus 0.3. And people pay attention to that, but people also pay attention to the early numbers. And the early numbers are looking bad for Democrats in that they are not getting the leads. They're not getting the edge that they're supposed to get. Usually in early numbers, Democrats are supposed to get this huge advantage, but now they only lead by around half of what they usually lead. The registration numbers are looking really bad for Democrats since their lead from 2020 has also been cut from around 600,000 to now 300,000. So those are also worrying signs for them. And that translates directly into these Polymarket odds. And that's why it's a big reason why these shifts mean something, and this state will go in the lean column for Donald Trump. A very similar story in the state of Michigan. This is a state that once upon a time in mid-September that Harris led by 70%. She had a 70% chance to win the election. But now Donald Trump has a 56% chance to win the election. A complete flip on its head. And another state that he has been doing extremely well in the polls, where he leads by a point, will also be going in the lean column for him on this map. And finally, the state of Wisconsin, another state where she had led consistently ever since she had been going into this race. Ever since Joe Biden had dropped out and Kamala Harris had came in, she has led by around 55 to 60% chance to win. Once again, at around a similar time, Donald Trump has taken the lead. He has been exploding, and now he has a 55% chance to win the state of Pennsylvania, also going in that lean column. And Donald Trump has already won the election 306 to 226. He doesn't even need the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. As long as he gets Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, he will win the election. But we do have one more state, and that is the state of Nevada. And it actually has changed. When I started filming this video, it was at around a 50-50. Now Donald Trump has the lead at 51 to 49. And the reason why this state has been the closest is because this state has probably had one of the closest polling numbers. Kamala Harris seems to be doing the best in this state, as she has led along most of the polling cycle. But with most states, Donald Trump has finally taken the narrow lead. So these polling averages have finally switched in his column. I do think this state's going to continue to remain close, however, because this is really a 50-50 race. but is going to go in the tilt column for the former president. And this is another state that we finally have some early numbers in, and it is way too early to really know, but so far I can say it looks good for the former president. And this is going to be our final map according to Polymarket. We have Donald Trump at 312, 226. Remember that the Polymarket odds, which is the betting odds, have gone to be a lot more accurate than the polls, but because we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people putting their own money where their mouths are. So this is going to be our final map, and this is going to be today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, put all your comments in the section below, and I will check you guys out in the next one.